Harwich Select Board meeting for Monday, September 29th, 2025 to order. And I will entertain a motion to enter into executive session.
Mr. Chair, I move we go into executive session to discuss A, pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 30A, 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body, and the chair so declares. SEIU 888, Service Employees International Union, Harwich Management Employees Association. HEA, Harwich Employees Association. HMEA, Highways and Maintenance Employees Association. IAMAW, International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers. NEPBA, New England Police Benevolent Association. Harwich Permanent Firefighters Association. Massachusetts Coalition of Police, Patrol, and Superior Officers.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Before the roll call vote, I'll remind folks that we will not reconvene open session any earlier than 6:30 p.m. this evening. Anita?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Chair is aye. That's 4-0. Thank you. We'll bring the meeting back together. The board met in executive session, and happy to report that we took action on 3 items. The board approved and executed the Harwich Dispatchers Collective Bargaining Agreement, also known as the New England Police Benevolent Association, Inc. Local 103. The board also approved and executed the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers, Local Lodge Number 264, Collective Bargaining Agreement. And the board approved a memorandum of agreement between the Town of Harwich and the Harwich Employees Association, which we reached a reclassification of 3 existing positions. So we appreciate all the effort put forth by town staff. As a quick reminder, as required by open meeting law, you are hereby informed the town will be video and audio taping as well as live broadcasting this public meeting. In addition, anyone in the audience who plans to video or audio tape this meeting must notify the chair prior to the start of the meeting. Seeing none, that's great. If you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
To my colleagues, it's been a minute since I've driven bus, so put your helmets on, strap yourself in, and we'll have a few bumpy rides tonight, but appreciate the indulgence. So with that said, staff comments and or announcements.
Want to go first?
I'll go last, Mr. Chair.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Sorry, excuse me. Carolyn Carey, Community Center Director. Thank you for the opportunity to come in front of you and just talk a little bit about the upcoming events for the month of October. On October 2nd, from 5:30 to 7, we have a free spaghetti supper. How'd I do? Just checking. We are inviting everyone to come by. This is something we do each and every month, and it is put on by volunteers. It has well over 100 people in attendance, so everyone is welcome. Please stop by.
That's similar to the pasta dinner?
I think it's a little different. This pasta's...
Thank you.
On Friday, October 3rd at 6:30 p.m., there will be a sports trivia night. Oh, heads perked up there for that. Please stop by. There are several rounds, including some videos to see who and what is happening, and prizes will be given. On October 16th at 5:30, one of our largest events that we do is our boutique. We collect costumes from the community and give them to people who may not be able to afford them, or for whatever reason just need a costume for their young person or middle of the age, or an older adult who would like to dress. But costumes can be really expensive. I know some of you have recently probably purchased costumes, and it's an expense that some people cannot afford, and we don't want anyone to not feel like they can participate. So we take donations of costumes. If anyone has any and would like to drop them off, gently used, we'll take care of laundering them and getting them out for the public. But we set the room up as a boutique, and people come in. Everything is free. You just pick out what you want. So that is on October 16th. On October 22nd, we will be having a speaker who will be doing a talk on the national parks. She is incredible and has quite a great following, but the pictures and the information Betty gives out is really unbelievable, so you don't want to miss that. Then on October 23rd, we are partnering with the Sound Dunes, and they're having a good old-fashioned sock hop. Then on the 30th, we will be doing Halloween or holiday crafts for anyone. You do need to sign up because we want to make sure we do have enough supplies. That's from 5:30 to 7. On the actual evening of Halloween, we will be giving out candy as we do in the past, just at one of the doors of the community center. Everyone is welcome. On November 2nd, from 9 to 1, we are doing our teen clothing swap. Again, people drop off clothes, people come in and exchange. It's all free. We have done this before, and people keep asking if we will do it again, so we're happy to accommodate that. That is on a Sunday. We have had quite a few parents say that it's very hard for them to get to participate in any events because they're working during the week, and on Saturdays they have a commitment list of whether it's their own activities or their children's activities. So we're going to try and do one event or two events, because also on that day, on Sunday, November 2nd, from 9 to 1, we're doing our fall indoor yard sale. People can sign up, but then we will just open the doors and people can come in and have a grand old time. So that's what we have going on at the community center. All of this is on our webpage. You can see it at posted downstairs at Town Hall. It's at the library, throughout the Chamber of Commerce. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate. And I will say I have gotten quite a few questions. We will be people asking when we'll be decorating, because Samantha does a phenomenal job. Those decorations will be going up soon. I know some people take a special trip over to see the community center decorations, so she's working on it as we speak. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the updates.
Good evening. Christine Flynn, Director of Planning and Community Development. I had just a few brief updates. The final draft local comprehensive plan is, the public comment period is coming to a close this week. And so we welcome any comments still from any of the town boards and committees, as well as the select board. And I wanted to just put out that Joyce McIntyre and I can do a presentation of the final draft of the local comprehensive plan at your convenience. Just let us know. The community development team next week we'll be meeting with FEMA representatives as part of our 5-year evaluation for the community rating system program. As you know, that's part of the National Flood Insurance program. So we are doing our 5th annual update with them. So we'll have lots to talk about next week among town hall staff and FEMA representatives, as well as the Barnstable County coordinator, Shannon Hulst. And third, the hazard mitigation plan is approaching its final stages, and we have been working with the Cape Cod Commission, who has done a tremendous job in putting this document together. We will be scheduling a public meeting towards the end of October. Thank you very much.
Thank you, appreciate it. Any other staff comments or announcements? Tony?
Just briefly, the chair of the ZBA, Mr. Sullivan, asked that we mention that the next two upcoming public hearings related to Pine Oaks 4 will take place on 10/14, and then the next night at 10:15. Both of those will be in the 204 Cultural Center building and starting at 6:30. They're on the website, agendas to be posted shortly.
Thank you for that.
Mr. Chair, if I may?
Mr. Handler?
Thank you. Seeing it's in the paper, hot topic is the Baptist Church project, and I'll read the headline. Davenport pulls out of Baptist Church project. I've also been in contact with Mr. John Carey. Most of you probably know him from the West Harwich Schoolhouse project, and he told me just the other day that it would be fine to announce that he has entered into a purchase and sale agreement with the Baptist Church. So that's the news I'd like to bring to the table tonight. There you have it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Handler.
Thank you.
Moving along to weekly briefing. Tony?
Public comment? Oh, weekly briefing? Yep. So no big updates related to Phase 3 sewer work that I mentioned last week. Just a reminder, they'll be starting on Pleasant Bay Road and Route 39, which is probably what affects most people. On the Great Sand Lakes, we've been trying to keep people updated on that. We had two public meetings last week, one with the planning board for waiver of site plan review, which was approved. And the next night, we met with the Zoning Board of Appeals related to two variances. This is in relation to the pump station at 15 Wales Road. That was approved by the ZBA as well. We're meeting with the Conservation Commission on that this coming Wednesday night, so making good progress there. We have our rating call with Standard & Poor's on Wednesday afternoon. That's related to the borrowing. That includes the Great Sand Lakes. There's like 5 different aspects of that borrowing. We did have a call with our financial advisor today. That went very well. We are discussing potentially switching from a bond anticipation note to a full borrowing, just based on where interest rates are and all of that. So they're going to send us some structuring package for the borrowing, and then we'll decide whether it may make sense to just do the permanent borrowing now, not knowing what may be, occurring a year from now when a bond anticipation note would be set to expire. So we'll do what's in the best interest of the town and the taxpayers as we look at that roughly $10 million borrowing that we'll be doing in October. The Brooks Academy Museum Library, the price proposals came in late, probably end of day on Friday. We're getting the team back together to review that. There may be some concerns on the price and how much money we had set aside, so we need to take a look at that to see what that might yield when we sit down to try to negotiate the final proposal for the design part of the Brooks Academy Museum Library project. So that's all I have on the weekly briefing.
Thank you. Public comments and announcements. Please.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, Town Administrator, Terry Canavan, I just had a couple of comments about this survey needs assessment. It was very concerning to me to know that $35,000 was spent on this project. 74% of the seniors here in Harwich did not participate. And there were a few reasons for that, and I just want to backtrack a little, if I could, for a minute. Initially, the Council on Aging actually gave our private information, our names and addresses, to a third party without any of us knowing. I do believe that that could present a real liability to this town, and this town needs to take a deep dive and really recommend and advise department heads. This is a big no-no for everybody's privacy and HIPAA rights. You can't do that. All of us received these huge packages in the mail from UMass Boston. And interesting, the first package in the center was a whole, probably about 12 to 15 pages that addressed the Hanover senior citizen group. Well, yes, there is a Hanover senior citizen. It has nothing to do with Harwich. And that's certainly through red flags about who are these people, how did they get your name and address, and what is Hanover in the midst of Harwich? So I personally had some conversations with the director of the COA and said, really? What are we doing? So another mailing came out that Hanover was not in it, but the point is none of us were gonna do it. But nobody was listening. You know, we have seniors in this town that their annual income is $35,000. And my knees buckle when I hear things like this. There is absolutely no benefit for 26% respondents, and not all of them were from Harwich. Initially, they couldn't make the 10% required in order for the survey to continue. So what they did was, they passed it out to anybody that came to the breakfast. Well, we have people from other towns that come to the breakfast, and yep, okay, they filled them out, but they're not from Harwich. So the numbers were all skewed in the wrong direction. It doesn't reflect our town, and honestly, we can't do anything with these recommendations because they really aren't going to be beneficial to any of us. That money would have been much better served if a GoFundMe account was made with the tax collector of the town. Help these people pay their taxes and keep them in their homes. That's what we need to do. And we must do it. We can't spend money like this. And now I get my new newsletter. I don't know if you've seen this logo. Have you seen it, anybody? I really don't know what it means. I don't think I'm an uninformed, uneducated person, but I honestly have never seen an outstretched hand that only has 3 fingers. I'm not sure what the message is. I don't know if this is a generational thing that I'm way beyond and don't understand, but it doesn't make any sense, and I'll just throw it out there. And I understand it was worked on for a year. You know, we have 6 full-time people working there on salaries, benefits, health insurance, blah, 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 on the story goes. If they don't have something better to do with their time, we need to take a deep dive in that. And maybe they don't need that number of people. Maybe they don't have to be open 8 hours a day. And then they've changed the color scheme. Now this is universal. White background, black bold lettering. The town has it right. Everybody, this is it. Well, now the Council on Aging changed it to a color scheme. And they used the #1 color you never use for people with color blindness, because they can't read it, because they can't see that color. I had that discussion. I invited Julie to even call sight loss services for assistance and the Parkin School for the Blind. My goodness, they're right in Massachusetts. You can't make bad choices like this. There's no senior in this community that doesn't have visual disturbances. We need to give them information they can read. I'll be done now.
Appreciate your input. Thank you very much.
But I have an item #2, drones. This community must get some real serious policies about drones. And I'm not going to expound on my personal issue that everybody knows about. I don't want drones in the sky in front of my front door at night. This is inappropriate. It's outrageous, and I'm not going to tolerate it anymore. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Any other members of the public? Seeing none, we'll move on to presentations. Cooper, I see you in the background there. Looks like Steve Rhodes is online to join you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Lynn Cooper, DPW Director. I'm here tonight to talk about the improvements that are planned for Route 39 Chatham Road intersection. Little over a year ago, I believe I got the board's consent to proceed with this project. It had been discussed for a number of years before that, but never really any traction or funding. We decided to fund this out of Chapter 90 funds. We got VHB under contract, and here we are with a finished product, just about ready to get it bid. The last I looked at project value, I believe Steve has one in here, is 361, I believe. Wow, don't get old. 361. Seems a lot for a small intersection like this, but there's a fair amount going on. I have Mr. Rhodes online. He would love to be here this evening in person, but he lives 2 hours away, and I thought for a very brief, hopefully a very brief presentation, wasn't really worth his while to drive down here.
Very, very brief presentation.
Yes, sir. With that, I'd like to hand it over to Mr. Rhodes.
Mr. Rhodes, welcome.
Thank you all. So I have the slide deck loaded up. If I could share a screen, or if not, I can just call it out. Want to advance slides, either way is fine with me.
All set?
Okay. Great, thank you. So thank you for having me tonight. I'll try to keep this brief, as mentioned. We'll just go over a quick project area, where the project limits are, what's a little bit of the history and where things stand today, along with the design objectives, some of the improvement details, and what are the costs. I think Link just gave away the cost there, but we'll go over a few more details on that. So we're focused on the primary area of the intersection itself. This doesn't extend out any significant amount east, west, or south in any direction. The survey was completed for our design base in October of last year. Since then, we've had 2 design submissions, 50% and the final in April and August, respectively. We worked with Link and his staff on going over what the improvements consist of along the way. And at this point, the plans, I've stamped them a few weeks ago, and they're ready to proceed to bidding at your option. The primary goal is to realign Chatham Road to tee it up as close as possible we can to 90 degrees with Route 39. We want to avoid utility relocations if we could. We didn't know going into the design if we'd be able to, but it turned out we could, which is good. We want to avoid permanent right-of-way impacts if possible, update the drainage infrastructure, and in general reduce property impacts from the construction. So the reconstructed road does not require any permanent right-of-way impacts. It is a mix of full-depth reconstruction and mill and overlay of the existing pavement. We're going to create one new traffic island on Chatham Road through the intersection to channelize traffic entering and exiting. We're going to put some new edge treatment out there, Kid Cut berm, and a mountable granite curbing for some truck turns. And we're going to retain all existing poles that I mentioned. And then the drainage improvements are a pretty big portion of the cost. We had to put new inlets in for the realigned intersection for new pavement locations. We're taking out one paved waterway that was draining off to someone's property and replacing that with an inlet. And we're putting in 3 new leaching basins to support the in-place groundwater infiltration. We're also going to plant some edges on the corner of parcel number 10 Chatham Road to replace what was removed from the realignment. So before I go into the plan view, I just want to kind of on-the-ground photos, get everybody familiar with where the new road is coming through. So I've highlighted 2 utility poles in yellow on this slide. The entrance the exit from Chatham Road to Route 39 is going to come in between those 2 poles. The new traffic island is going to roughly be where the blue circle is, right at the base of the existing pole. So that pole is going to be retained in the traffic island. On this plan, the existing road edge is outlined in red. So if you're coming from town center, the area of pavement that's a wide kind of right turn entrance to Chatham Road is going to be realigned and tightened up a little bit to reduce speeds through that section. So we're going to get some pavement turned into green space as a result of that. And then on the east side of the intersection, we're going to shift the exit from Chatham Road to Route 39 to the east. So the gray pavement hatching is indicating the new roadway area, and the red again is the existing. Some of the curbing details, T100 curb is a curb that's typically used to be a mountable, traversable edge for heavy trucks. It's typically used in roundabout aprons. This is one of those facilities being installed in Lexington. The T100 curbing is the flatter of the two options here on the left side of the photo. Roughly the extent of the hedges to be removed on the 10 Chatham Road property. So there's no permanent right-of-way impacts, as I mentioned. The roadway itself is going to be fully within the public right-of-way, but the hedges need to be taken out on a portion of the property. Those will be replanted roughly in the area outlined in green here. So we're going to reconnect the hole that's kind of created in the hedges from the road going through where those exist today. And again, just a little more zoomed in detail here of the existing edge of the road in red and where the new road is coming through with the stop bar or the entrance to Route 39. Cost, as Link said, to get it spot on, our current cost estimate is $361,000, which includes all of the surface and drainage improvements, and it includes an allowance for police details. Want to build in some construction contingency just to have a little kind of dollar value to play with as things might come up in construction. You can also see how bids come in and kind of compare that against our engineer's cost estimate at that point and see how things look. And that is all I had for the details. Happy to take questions.
Appreciate that. Board? Art?
Sure, I have just a couple of questions. What is super pavement? I read that in one of the specs, super pave. What is that?
Superpave is the current state standard for asphalt mixtures. So maybe 10 years ago or so, MassDOT transitioned all their paving to this new spec, which is essentially a statewide standard that all contractors and all paving plants can source and follow for all new pavements.
Just two more quick things. Just a comment. I like the turn off from 39 Old Chatham Road. That will slow traffic down. The concrete truck apron, is that concrete that leads up to a curb for heavy trucks? I read about it, and I just, I see a little purple area. I just don't understand what a concrete truck apron is.
So the surface material is actually, I believe, just supported by, there may be a concrete subbase, but the actual surface is a hummix asphalt surface that's stamped. So it has a little bit of a textured pattern to it, and it'll have a color of the town's choosing that can be kind of identified through the construction process. So it's meant to be kind of a visual cue to drivers in, passenger vehicles, passenger trucks, landscaping trucks, that they shouldn't be driving over it. But for very, very large tractor trailers that need to negotiate that turn, their wheels can traverse up onto that, and it should be, fairly doable for them. But again, intended to indicate that the major traffic pattern is to avoid that location.
Okay. And just one final comment, and maybe at some point in the future, this is great. We could have a little review of the North Harwich traffic study and, what's next on that. And if there's things we can do sooner rather than later. So just a thought. Is Link still here?
He's over there.
Oh, sorry, Link. But just a thought, this is great.
He's still over there.
But, I attend the Pine Oaks 4, and traffic is a big issue, and I know we've had the study. I just think it would be a nice thing for the board, the town, to have perhaps yourself in a traffic study. And I'm sure you're working at it, but just to hear what's in progress, perhaps.
Sure, yeah, we'd be happy to discuss.
No, I don't mean now. We're trying to finish up the meeting, but at some future point in time, so. Right, Pete?
Yep.
Well said, Mark.
Okay, that's all.
Anita?
I don't need an answer, just for future consideration. Thank you.
Are you done?
I have one more.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes, Diana,
Thank
please.
you. Link, first, while I have you here a little off script, I want to say thank you for the little pavement on Miles Street and that nice little, maybe you didn't do it, but okay.
we did it.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. That makes a difference.
You're welcome.
And you heard the public,
and you did it. So, thank you. Steve, thanks for being here. You know, it started a while back with Traffic Safety Committee, and I just want to give a little shout out to our Traffic Safety Committee and Linda Sabula and all the hardworking people on that committee, because this is where this all began a while back when I was the liaison, and I've watched that Traffic Safety Committee in conjunction with yourself and Steve work through the process. So I just want to make sure that everybody understands that our committees are active and they do great things, and this is just one more example of the work that they do, our volunteers do. Link, what was the outcome with the property owner? I see that it looks like we're taking some property, so.
No, sir.
We're not.
No. The hedge where it comes to a V there is entirely in town's right-of-way. There's nothing permanent that's going to be needed here. I had discussions as far back as 2018 with Ms. Jagger. Unfortunately, I have emailed her these plans along with a right of entry and have followed up with phone calls to no avail to get in touch with her. I believe she is in New York City at this point, but the woman does get around. So we need nothing. Well, last time I talked to her, I woke her up, she was in California, and I'm calling somebody at 8 o'clock in the morning. Anyhow, I had preliminary discussions. I've not been able to get a hold of her as far as this plan, but we don't need any of her property to construct this project.
Well, that was my only question to you. Thank you for clarifying, because that was part of the discussion a while back, was how that fit in.
We originally thought that, so once we got the survey back was the first time we knew that we didn't need private property to construct this project.
Excellent. I have nothing more. Thank you.
We're not going to expense a trip to New York for you to go get the answer either. Quick question.
Wasn't an ask, Mr. Chair.
Right. Do I assume Center Island is also that stamped concrete?
Yeah, that will emulate what is up at the roundabout now on that inner ring where you drive over it and you'll hear like a rumble strip type thing. That's what it's designed for. Okay. So there might be large tractor trailer trucks, although this is designed, and he'll probably correct me, I think it's designed for a 63. The wheels can mount. It'll be mountable curb like he had in his presentation. So if a longer vehicle can't make the turn, it'll simply go up on the island and it'll go over that stamped concrete.
Excellent, thanks. And Link, do you know the balance of your Chapter 90 account?
$1.2 billion.
$1.2 million?
We did get a $400,000 extra this year. A couple months ago, there was a letter from the governor that they had, I don't know what they call it, sometimes they call it winter recovery, somehow pothole money, whatever they called it. We did get some extra this year.
All right. And so, obviously, 361 plus a contingency. Do either of you, either you, Link, or Steve, what's a typical contingency for a project of this scope?
Usually you throw 10% in. I'm probably going to have to amend this because this cost estimate is $50,000 more than I thought. It should have been when we started a year and a half ago, something like that. But that should not be an issue.
Okay. Mr. Scabby, anything on that?
No, good job. This is one of the good news stories. So it's been long overdue, and a lot of work went into this design over the course of the last year. So thanks to Link and the folks from VHB and others.
Excellent. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, thank you for your time, appreciate it.
Brief enough for you?
Thank you all.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, Link.
Move along to new business, item A, discussion on the South Harwich Meeting House Agreement. Mr. Scabby?
Yes, so we have some representative of the South Harwich, come on.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Really good. I'm just going to hand
Thank
these
you.
out for pictures just
So
for fun.
The,
It shows where you were in 2004. Thanks, Judy. Hi, how are you?
Good. So the purpose of this is twofold. One is to get an update on some of the capital projects that they're looking to do at the South Harwich Meeting House. They do a great job in, keeping the building looking well and and functioning. The second part of it is, and I sort of just stumbled on this when I got here, but the license agreement that the folks have had there goes back to, I mean, I went back as far as
2004. Scary.
but sometime in the 2017 timeframe. So the town, in those license agreements, the town always maintained insurance on the building. And the South Harwich Meeting House folks kept other liability insurance and other type of insurance. And then in 2017, when a 5-year agreement was struck with the town, there was some language put in to the agreement that wasn't there before, related to that expense for our insurance to be reimbursable back to the town. In my discussion with Judy, that is, it's never been executed. And then the follow-up agreement from 2003 is another 5-year agreement. The owner now has that same language in it, but I'm not sure it was effectively communicated on why that was changed and communicated to all the parties. So I think part of what we wanted to talk through tonight is the capital project, the money they're expending to keep that building well-maintained and up to date, and decide whether, that language, should be enforced by the town or not, given everything they're putting into the building, on our behalf. It is a community asset, and they do a great job in doing that. So perhaps you can go through the presentation on what they're looking to do for the building, and then the board needs to have a discussion about the language that's in the license agreement related to the insurance the town keeps on the building as being reimbursable.
All right, excellent.
Maybe I should address, I'm Judith Ford, President and Artistic Director at the Meeting House for a million years. I just wanted to thank the board for letting us come in and chat with you. When Tony called me and was talking about the insurance that the town has always paid, the line in it was always the town would continue to carry their own umbrella insurance policy on the building to protect their own liability, and it ended there. Somehow in 2017, and I have to admit, I'm not sure what happened then, it was put in, referring to, I think, Section 3 or whatever it was, that from then on, that we would be responsible for it. We have never even known what the amount of that payment is. When we first took over the building, it was abandoned basically for 13 years. So I know the insurance was very high or almost not even available. So it went down, I know, considerably. I know the insurance is with Lloyd's of London, because I meet with them at least this past year, I don't know if it's every year, every other year, to go through the building. When I convinced him, Tony said it actually went down this year. I think it's probably because I convinced him that our monitoring of the building is constant. We're never not there. I am never not there for any event from the opening to the close. And we're extremely careful with the building. So how that actually got in there and we missed that, I'm not really sure. When I got the last license agreement back from the Board of Selectmen, it was only the signatory page. So I didn't have the actual document, and I don't know whether somehow we didn't ever had a negotiation or a discussion about this. So that might have come up then. But I feel strongly that we put a tremendous amount of money into the building financially, and we have really. My commitment to the board, we begged for the license agreement, just a very quick, tiny synopsis of where we've been. In 2004, we organized as a nonprofit. We came to the town for 2.5 years and begged and pleaded to take over the building and save it. And after 2.5 years, finally, we entered into the first license agreement. And then after 2.5 years, we hadn't started anything yet. So we dug a big trench under the building from the front to the back to determine the actual viability of the building and the wood condition, which was great. So we knew it was salvageable at that point. After we did that, we entered up into the license agreement with the town for the first time from 2004 to 2007. It sounds like a million years ago now. But after that point, we then could start raising funds. So we were up to now that period. So we raised funds for several years. We did the trench. We raised funds to everything we could constantly, and we got 3 or 4 CPC agreement fundings. And actually that came to, I think it was $443,000. 235 of that was already gone when the town commenced with the building lift and the foundation and all the other things related to, and put the building back down and then close it up. So very much of that was gone, so it required us to make a tremendous amount of effort to raise funds for the building after that. The funds ran out before we opened, so we actually ended up opening a year and a half, I think, later, because we decided to raise funds for a generator, which now controls that whole building. And that was $8,000, so that held us up a little bit in our opening. When we finally raised the building in 2010, the first opening celebration was in 2018, and we were really only just getting off the ground with performance and with cultural arts. So we received the Mass Historic Award in 2019, Mass Historic Commission Preservation Award, which was extremely rare. I think it's maybe the second one on Cape Cod, and I don't know if there have been any since. And then, unfortunately, just after we received the award, in 2019, in 2020, COVID hit. So before we could even we'd only had 6 months of programming. We finally opened, and then COVID came and we shut down for 2.5 years. So we've actually maintained the building through the whole COVID. My promise to the selectmen when we first went into the agreement was if they would let us take on the building, that we would make sure that the town would never have to pay a dime for the building from there on. That has been the case actually for us since 2004. We've paid every expense, every elevator inspection, every security alarm, fire sprinkler systems. We manage and control everything in the building, so it's perfectly taken care of. When that happened, we literally we spent a lot of money on it during a year, and when we keep it in impeccable condition. So we strongly feel, and my board feels, that now at $77,300 for the insurance on the town's part of it, we strongly feel that the town should be responsible for that, as is the town building. It is the only expense the town pays for the meeting house completely year-round, and since 2004. So I handed out the license agreement and where it changed, and I just underlined in red a few things that need to change. One of them was on the very first, when somebody changed it, they changed our actual legal address for the corporation to P.O. Box. That's our mailing address. It's actually supposed to be, it used to be 237 South Street, so that's not correct, needed to be corrected. The next page, on page 2 at the top, it says, "It is anticipated that the community use events will comprise the primary use of the meeting house." That is not the case. We hold the meeting house together with memberships, donations, and our productions, and our sort of all of our programs. And we raise money through that. We've carried the whole building with that ever since 2004. The other thing I was going to mention, if you go to the next page 4, you'll see what was added. It's underlined in red. The cost of such insurance shall be considered on expense pursuant to Section 3, reimbursing the town for the same. We would like to suggest that we strike that last part. And what was the other thing? I'll find another page there. I think what we've done with the meeting house is absolutely unprecedented. I don't think there's a group in town that has taken on a building and taken on every expense of that building for the 20 years that we've been involved with it. I think it's unprecedented that we cover all those expenses. I know that I think with the Historical Society or the rec building or any of those other places, I'm sure people aren't paying, at least I don't think they're paying the town's umbrella insurance. Am I right on that?
On what? Which one?
On whether or not other groups that are using buildings like the Historical Society and the rec building and all that, are they paying
I do not know the answer.
insurance? Yeah, on that?
We can find out.
Yeah, okay. I think that would be unusual. Right now, the other thing is, I sent in my letter, that we're actually facing huge expenses at the meeting house right now. Since we've been taking care of the meeting house, we've painted all 3 sides. We had a system where we did the 4th side, the 4th side is the side facing this way. That was our last side to do, and the town raised its insurance requirements apparently, so the person we always had do it, who also donated a lot of his time as well, we couldn't use him anymore. So now we've gone out and we've gotten other estimates. So right now we're sitting on an $8,000-something bill in order to replace a door, which is really bad. It's falling apart, the historic door, which is the entrance door and the handicap door. That is in dire need of replacement. The other thing is the west side, I think it's west, I'm not good with my directions. Facing this way, is that west? I think so. Anyway, that side where the basement entrance is, that one is desperate need of painting, and the windows are starting to get, well, the storm windows are starting to get rough. So that needs to be done. And then we had a problem this year with the winds are so bad where that meeting house is that the rake boards up at the top, one of them snapped, flew off, and was about, a huge long thing flapping in the wind. And thank God for Sean Libby, who came and climbed up on this thing and actually temporarily nailed it down. But it needs to be replaced. And some of the very back of the meeting house in the little bump out that would have been the altar, but is our stage, that has clapboards that are rotted and they're in really bad shape. So long story short, we have an $8,000 estimate to do all of the side and fix that back, replace clapboards, and paint it before winter. And we have another $6,000 to fix the that's just the side. The side is $8,000. The very back where the rot is in the clapboards and the rake boards and holes from woodpeckers, that's all going to be replaced for about $6,000. So we're sitting on that as well. And then we have the door, which is another $8,000. So right now we have about $27,000 in our account, in our business account, and we hope to do all of that work before the winter comes. So we're looking at about $22,000 worth of work. And should we be required to pay another $7,300, it would stop us from doing that work. So the board feels very strongly that the town should cover the insurance like it always has. And that's basically what we think about it.
All right, I appreciate that. I'll open it up to the board for some comments or questions. No?
I do have a few. I'm just looking for an email.
Mark, you ready?
Someone wants to,
Great building, great shows.
It's a great building, yeah.
So all these repairs, you're going to be self-funding. In essence, you have a revolving account.
What's that?
A revolving account, like, in other words, you put the money in and it handles the repairs and things like that.
We don't have that. We just raise enough money, and if we're shy, we try to have a fundraiser, or we're hoping to maybe do a benefit concert coming up to try to cover the door so that we're able to do all of that before winter. But I do think that it's unprecedented that we cover everything for that building. The town never has to worry about it, ever, on any level, not financially or not in the safety or security of it either. So I think, basically, we believe it's a really powerful gift to the town. And when getting it all done, we did the incredible captain story, and now we're leaning into something for the Revolutionary War. We have amazing programming coming up, and it's a huge asset to the community and hugely well received by our audiences. So.
If I could just follow up, Mr. Chair. It's a town building. Can the facilities department do some things to offset?
They've helped us a little bit for little things, but they don't do the restoration of the building. We do that,
Okay.
yeah.
And can you, or do you consider outside of events to raise money for that facility? I know you have great plays there.
Outside events, you mean?
Yeah, like, a wedding, a meeting, or just the thought to raise.
Oh, you mean
money.
at the meeting house?
Yes.
See, we do that. When it said that the balance, the most of the funding comes from community use, the community use there is people come to us, and we open the building, and we work with them and help them raise money for other nonprofits, basically. We've done it for the West Harwich Library, the Harwich Port Library, the Council on Aging, the Harwich Garden Club. We've done it for, we have memorial services. Every time there's a memorial service there, someone dies. We've actually just come off one memorial service reception and one memorial service, even in the last 3 weeks. So the building is there for the people in South Harwich, where they use the cemetery as well. So we're always open to that, but it is very little income for us. We charge very little for it. For someone to come in and do a memorial service, it's usually a lot of work for us, and $150 or up to $150 or $300. It's a very minimal amount of money. And we put a lot of time into it as well, and we really do it for the community. But the building is just a wonderful place, and we've only started to touch on the history of it, and we have a long way to go, but it's so important that building is here in the town, not lost. And through that building, we can tell unbelievable history about the town of Harwich that people like the captains didn't have any idea of. So, anyway.
No, I know you do have something coming up with the Historical Society.
We do, but that's right, the Historic Society. We're doing a special thing on November 2nd.
That's right.
With Richard Pickering from the, he's from Plymouth Patuxent, I guess it's called now. Phenomenal, one-man show. He apparently comes in as himself, and somehow on the stage, clothing-wise and everything else, he turns into William Brewster. So we're very excited about that, and this is a joint. We've done joint things with other groups before to help them, but we don't make a lot of money doing it, but it's good for the community. So, and that's going to be a fundraiser for the two of us, yeah.
Nice. Jeff?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for being here, Mrs. Ford.
No problem.
Always great to see you. We'll start with the easy first. I don't have a problem with the language changes that you've redlined. That doesn't, there needs to be a discussion about the insurance.
Sure,
which is
yeah.
part of the red line. But as far as the address goes and then the anticipated community use events, I don't have a problem with any of those language changes. What you and everybody who has been involved in the Harwich Meeting House has accomplished over the years is truly commendable. It is a gem for the town of Harwich. And, we're fortunate enough to be able to debate in that building for select board seats.
Right.
And I always look forward to
That's right, candidates.
Yeah, right. I look forward to going to the debates for
Yeah.
pretty much that reason only. But I will say that this comes at an interesting time, because for me, I've been looking at the Brooks Academy building lease agreement. I've been looking at the Harwich Junior Theater lease agreement, which is Sisson Road and Parallel Street. That's what I was just looking for in my emails,
Sure.
to see if I could find anything that, and I've read through them. I think we need to do a top-to-bottom review of all town assets that have license agreements and get some parity. At least have a discussion as to how they're all being treated, so our taxpayers understand truly what they're paying for. So that would be the first thing that I would like to suggest to this board. And I know over at the Harwich Affordable Housing Trust, we're looking at that asset that the Junior Theater uses. But all in all, I don't have a problem with the language changes. I think we need to do a little bit more work, Mr. Chair, in digging into the rest of the license agreements that Harwich buildings, that we allow in other Harwich buildings. So that's all I would say.
Okay.
Thank you
for that. Anything else, Mike? Anita, anything else?
I just have one comment, and it just caught my ear for some reason. You said the last time you signed an agreement, all you got was the signature page?
Yeah.
I think maybe it could be your responsibility to make sure you got the whole document.
Well, the common thing with us, because we've been doing this for so many years, and the agreement never changed. Michael wrote the agreement. We submitted to the town. The town
Right.
would review it, and then we would take it to them, signed by my clerk and myself, and then it would go to them, and then the selectmen would sign it back, and they would send it back to us. And it was always the same. So, nobody really paid too much attention to changes with it.
But
So I think that's what happened, yeah.
I think we need to make
I'm
sure.
sure it's somewhat my fault that I didn't sit and go through it. Even if I picked it up,
Right.
even if I came in and got it, I remember just attaching, the signatory page to it. So it's nothing that we would have ever done deliberately. And now we're looking at 2017 till now. I mean, it was like forever ago.
I'm
right?
just saying that we should
Yeah.
just make sure that you had
I
the whole
agree.
document.
Yeah.
That's all. And that was the only thing that
Yeah.
caught my ear. So, good job.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Good job.
And the one difference with us, I find, is we are not a line item on the town meeting. We're not involved in any funding, nothing, absolutely nothing. Not one dime goes into the building, except for what we do with it. And we managed to somehow keep it going and maintain it. And we haven't gone back to CPC, because I guaranteed them on our last one that, we wouldn't be back. We'll carry it after that. And we actually have. That leaves money for other historic, applications and not.
That was all. Sorry.
Oh, no, thanks, I appreciate it. And, I'll echo Selectman Handler's comments as far as reviewing some of the other agreements, and again, for parity, right? So what are the other organizations doing as far as taking care of the building, the maintenance, the repair, similar to what you folks are doing. So again, we'll put it all on the table, see what they look like, and then we can bring it back to the board. But certainly, I don't think at this time we need to strong-arm the folks for the insurance money. You know, we
No,
can-
certainly, the town hasn't, I'm not sure the town was aware of the change. We haven't billed them in 8 years, so I don't think there's a sense of urgency at this point.
Right.
We do budget for it, and obviously, equity and parity is important, so we'll have to, track down any other, license agreements, see how they might be worded, but
Right.
I'm not sure the town was aware of the change either, because we weren't doing our part either,
Sure.
so.
No, it's a good catch, and I appreciate it coming before us. Appreciate what you folks are doing, and I'll leave it up to you and Chairman Howell to put this on a future agenda.
Did you need a vote, don't you?
I need permission for,
So part of the agreement for them to do any of the repairs and so forth on the building, they need a permission and a vote from the board to do the painting,
yeah,
replacing
I
the
always have to have the contractor bring his insurance and submit it to the town administrator or the Board of Selectmen, and then they go through to make sure that it's adequate and appropriate, and then when they approve it, then I can go ahead and have them come and start.
So if you want to get us whatever paperwork, the insurance.
It's already in there.
In where?
He already sent it to the town.
I don't think we've gotten it yet.
Oh, really? He didn't bring it in or anything? I thought he did. Maybe he took it to the building department.
But when we get it, we can
Yeah.
bring it back before the board and get, because I know you want to try to do it.
Yeah, see,
before the
he has a
winter.
time frame is the only thing. I think you might have it, because he said he took care of it. Because we also have to have it submitted with the town named as additional insured, and I
Correct.
instructed him of that. So I think he called me yesterday, so,
But we don't have it in our office.
isn't that weird?
Yeah.
I will check into that, and I'll get back to you, Tony, and let you know where it went, or
If we
if
get
it
This
went,
week, we can put it on for next Monday.
next Monday. Okay, that would be great.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
Appreciate your time tonight. With the board's indulgence, we're going to skip to item C. So, Tony, we'll let you take lead on the findings of the facts report for the show cause hearing held on September 11th.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I got to catch up now. Okay, so in the board's packet, if you remember, back earlier this summer, the board appointed Megan Eldridge, who was then the acting town administrator, to have a show cause hearing related to an alleged violation of the seasonal all alcohol beverage license for Lucky Labrador Inc., DBA Perks at 545 Route 28. The alleged violations occurred on June the 20th in a call to the Harwich Police Department for noise audible at a distance greater than 150 feet at the Perks Coffee Shop and Beer and Garden. As a result, the investigating officer determined that they could plainly hear the music from approximately 200 feet away in the Chamber of Commerce parking lot. You have the memo from Megan Eldridge. She was the hearing officer. I wasn't, although I did sit in on the hearing. Her findings and determination based on the sworn testimony and the exhibits provided, she found that the town had demonstrated a violation of 204 CMR 2.052, permitting a disorder, disturbance, or illegality to take place on a licensed premises in a violation of the Harwich Board of Selectmen Liquor License Regulations, Section 109C, outside entertainment, where the noise from the establishment was plainly audible at a distance greater than 150 feet from the boundary line of the premises. So through the hearing and witness testimony, Megan determined that a violation did occur. As part of her recommendation, related to prior violations over the course of 2 years. There were several on August 4th, 2024, August 31st, 2024, and October 13th, 2024. So when you consider this violation this year, there were a total of 4 violations over the course of 2 years. For the violation that occurred in in August of 2024, which the board voted on in June 23rd of this year in 2025, the board required Perks to provide evidence of employee training on the sound system. We did eventually receive that documentation in September. Her recommendation from the hearing officer is a one-day suspension of Perk's liquor license, and it's based on the fact that there have been 4 violations over the last 2 seasons, and that basically concluded her findings. So that was the recommendation of the hearing officer.
Okay, thank you. I'll open up to the board.
Mr. Chair, are you looking for discussion, or I see the owners of the business are here. Are you opening it up for questions from the board, or do you just want to keep this to the board?
This is really a conversation with the board. The hearing already took place. I'm happy to entertain a statement from the owners if they'd like to make a brief statement to us, but otherwise, the deliberation is between us.
Understood. Well, I'll start. I see this, I have a few thoughts. I see this as troubling in the big picture. Alleged violation, I'm sorry, not alleged, anonymous calls, I think is something that we have begun to address at least a little bit over the last couple of weeks. It is clear that both officers confirmed they did in fact hear plainly audible noise 150 feet from the boundary. I respect Megan Eldridge's suggestion and recommendation to the board. I would add that given the amount of work that this business owner and the business owners, I'm sorry, given the amount of work and the amount of care that they give to operating a business under very difficult circumstances, in my opinion, I wouldn't want to do it, to be quite honest with anybody. If it is this board's intention to follow through with the recommendation of Megan Eldridge, I would suggest that we have a thoughtful discussion on the when we would request or mandate that one-day suspension. And I'll put it on record, I don't think it should be something that we even consider in the higher times for a business owner in Harwichport to make their money. I don't think a July weekend or an August weekend. I think we can do something in the shoulder season to follow along with what we're supposed to do when there is a violation and a guilty finding. I don't want to minimize that, but I also think that the history of these business owners speaks volumes, at least to me. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mark?
I more or less agree with Jeff. 4 violations, and town employees have said one-day suspension. I agree with that. I would just say that I would like the suspension to be at a time when there is not that much business, so it doesn't hurt the business. They're very receptive. They come here. I'm very sympathetic to them. I actually walked through your place yesterday. It was very 6:30, quiet. So I didn't hear any loud music. But I do think, and we did hear that from public comments, that we weren't enforcing some of our rules. So I am in favor of the penalty, and just I would like it to be, if at all possible, a time that will hurt the business the least amount financially. Thank you.
No, and I would concur. I would say exactly what they've said also.
Tony, does our action this evening need to include specific date
Yes,
tonight?
yes.
Okay. So with that said, I would ask my colleagues to
calendar
grab
rise.
your calendar. I'll ask the owners if they'd like to make a statement to the board prior to,
Could we ask
Our vote?
them what date
No.
we have? Well, I just.
no, you're right. You're
Yeah,
right, but no, I
what
think,
their quiet time would be.
yeah, no, I think we'll make the determination, but I'm happy
Okay.
to listen to if they'd like to make a statement to the board, realizing you already went through the hearing process, but
Right.
happy to give you an opportunity if you so wish.
That's true. You're right.
And Mr. Chair, before they come to please come up if you don't mind, if you'd like to make a statement. The only thing I would ask this board to ask is, when do they close for the season, and when do they reopen?
That's
I think that's what
basically,
you were
that's
getting
where I
at,
was
Anita.
going.
So
Yeah.
thank you.
Sorry.
No problem.
We open Friday, Memorial Day weekend, and we close Columbus Day.
Thank you.
Yep.
I just wanted to say thank you for considering what you have and what you guys just discussed. That means a lot to us. It's pretty frustrating that first off, Taylor Powell, Sarah Powell, Owner's Perks.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, sorry.
That we've gone through all these measures, and we've done a lot over the years. We've been in business a long time, and we've held the license for a very long time. And this noise thing has been an issue with the town, and not just us, but just has been a topic for a very long time. And we've worked very hard and well to try to resolve it. With that, we've never had any liquor violation of any kind related to over-serving, under-serving, or anything like that, underage. This has just been an isolated thing with the music. So what I'd like to point out with that is there were some violations, yeah. They were speaker music and other things. We don't need to go into
The 3 past ones were not due to the live music.
we don't know to go to the full details of that, but I calculated our outdoor live music amplification entertainment dates, and it was 126. And what we're speaking of is 1 out of 126. So that's 99.21% success rate on having outdoor live music. So I think we've done a pretty good job. And to be penalized like this for having 1, no one's perfect. I'm not perfect. I don't think anybody in this room is perfect. We try to be. We're doing the best we can. But we do feel that's pretty good to have 1 hiccup out of 126 with musicians playing outside. So hopefully we can continue that in the future and have a good success rate, but there could be a chance we're back up here again because there are anonymous calls and this needs to be addressed.
I think we just want to see, something happen in the bigger picture, because for us, I know you're trying to be lenient with us and we appreciate it. Like, I see that you're not trying to put us down or harm us, but that goes in our permanent record. And then it's like, okay, you had these 3, now you have this one, now you have this one, and it's frustrating because we do feel like we're doing as much as we can to try to control it, and we both feel like there's a bigger issue, and, eventually we're probably just going to say we're not going to have music because it's almost impossible to not.
It'll make a ton of people happy. There's one or 2 people that aren't, and it's unfortunate we're before you. So we appreciate you guys.
You guys probably read our letter, so you already,
We appreciate
I don't
it.
want, without like beating a dead horse and keep saying it's like, how we feel, so.
Oh, agreed. So appreciate it, appreciate the statement, and appreciate your time this evening.
Yeah, and we appreciate you guys, thank you.
Entertain a motion?
Yeah, if I may, Mr. Chair, ask the board a consensus question. Is it something that the board would want to impose this year or next year? Or should I give 2 dates and let the board?
I'm open to either, to be
All
quite
right,
honest.
I'll make a motion. I move that the board vote to impose a 1-day suspension of Perks liquor license, and that day will be on June 2nd, 2026.
Do I have a second?
What day is that, if I may?
That's a Tuesday.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second to
Impose a
Impose the-
1-day suspension of Perks liquor license,
Tuesday, June.
Tuesday, June 2nd, 2026.
Any discussion, any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 4-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, with the board's indulgence, I'll move along to item D, which is Town Administrator's recommendation, or the Assistant Town Administrator's recommendation to grant permission by Verizon New England to place 1 2-inch conduit along Weston Woods Road. And I believe John Moore from Verizon is on the line, but Tony, I'll let you take it.
Okay. So again, Megan Eldridge held a utility hearing on September 19th, 2025 at 11 o'clock related to 1 2-inch conduit along Weston Woods Road in order to bring FiOS to the residents of that street. I think the only question came up was just the accuracy of a map that got updated, as well as answering several residents' questions about where they actually put the pedestal, and I think they work through that in terms of they work with the individual homeowners to see where the pedestal would make the most sense in terms of along their frontage along Weston Woods Road. So her recommendation is that the board approve the request to do that work.
Thank you. Mr. Moore, welcome.
Thank you, Select Board. I appreciate it.
Anything you'd like to update the board or discuss?
Yes, so there is one thing. I went down to Weston Woods myself personally to do a site survey on that road for the pedestals, to place the conduit and the fiber for FiOS. And unbeknownst to me, there's already pedestals right now outside of each resident on Weston Woods. So basically, we're going to be trenching to that original pedestal. And in fact, Verizon's going to be replacing those pedestals in the same exact locations that they are right now for the copper cabling for their plain old telephone service, if you will. So they're going to be getting updated pedestals right where they presently already exist now, so they can accommodate both copper cable and fiber for FiOS. So I wanted to let the Select Board know that. That's good.
I'll open it up to the board. Go ahead, Mark.
Sure. John, I've always understood that FiOS is not going to go over the bridge. Is this permit mean that people in Harwich will be at some point eligible to receive FiOS and have a competitor to Comcast?
Absolutely. So I'm an old Verizon retiree, and I was one of the first FiOS guys up here in the North Shore. And where I live, I still don't have FiOS, but it's surrounded in every community where I live, so I want it as well. But since it's definitely coming to Weston Woods, it's definitely coming to Harwich without a problem. And just to let you know, you're going to have a third competitor shortly coming down the road too, called GoNet Speed. I have been on every street in Harwich from March until presently doing telephone pole surveys. So you're going to get a third competitor in Harwich to go with FiOS and Comcast. So hopefully that drives the prices down for us customers.
How soon, John?
The hardware, the GoNet Speed project, if I was a betting man, I would say 12 to 18 months. They're just in the startup phase right now as far as gathering all of the engineering facts on the telephone poles, applying for telephone pole licenses so they could put their fiber on the same poles that Verizon and Comcast are on right now. So once that's all done, they'll put in for all the licenses with whoever owns the poles. Most cases, it's a joint-owned pole, Verizon and Eversource, things like that. We're looking for potential business owners down in Harwich too that wouldn't mind leasing space out for all this equipment for GoNet too. So not only do I represent Verizon as well for these public hearings, but I'm also doing other work as well, other engineering work for another provider.
Okay, thanks, John. I didn't actually hear the end of your speech, but anyways, it's coming. That's the bottom line, right?
Yeah, you're gonna have three competitors eventually in Harwich.
Perfect.
Tree. Anything?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'll keep it brief because I know you're
Thank you.
working here.
Oh,
I like it.
I'm good.
John, thanks for being here. I just have two questions. How do you all choose where you're going to begin placing FiOS?
So the way Verizon chooses and picks is usually they have to have some kind of a fiber run that's close to some of these side streets, such as Weston Woods. So in the case of Weston Woods, they already have fiber, or FiOS fiber and other fiber as well, coming on Pleasant Lake Ave. So the way they're going to feed Weston Woods is coming off of the telephone pole at the corner of Pleasant Lake and Weston Woods. So that would make the easiest, make the most sense to do it that way. They'll have it coming down the pole right there at the corner, and then they'll go into the conduit going underground to each individual pedestal right there in Weston Woods. So in this case, that's probably what Verizon was thinking. It was probably the least cost effective to do it to this portion of Harwich, or at least on this street on Harwich. I don't know if they have any other plans of putting FiOS up and down Harwich as a whole entirety.
And thank you for that. And last question, I know that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe FiOS was run down Seth Whitefield Road or Hawks Nest Road out to a camp out in the woods that has no power. Is that to continue going through the woods to come out to the other side and tie into what's happening at Weston Woods, or do you know anything about that particular?
I don't have any knowledge of any other portions of Harwich that Verizon wants to place Fios or has placed Fios. But that's something we can ask Verizon about as well.
Yeah, I'd just like to understand the big picture there.
Sure.
They brought it down the
Yep.
road where there's no power.
Perfect.
And a camp, an outdoor camp.
Perfect.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you for being here, and appreciate it.
As long as you can power your tablet. Anita? Nothing. And I read Megan's report, and not that I don't believe Mr. Moore, because he says that they'll patch any road that is disrupted, but I do not see it as any condition in the signed documents.
So in this case, they're not going to be touching the road. They're going to be going just off the road where the present copper cabling is placed. So right now, with all those pedestals on Weston Road, Woods Road, they're fed via what we call direct buried underground with a copper cable. So with fiber, you have to put it in conduit to protect it even furthermore, if you know what I mean. So they're going to probably utilize the existing direct buried underground to those pedestals right now, which are coming off of that pole there on the corner of Weston Woods Road and Pleasant Lake Ave already.
Okay, so you don't foresee any trenching whatsoever?
Not in the roadway, no. And in fact, I'm willing to bet that they'll probably bore under the driveways too, so they don't have to disrupt any of the residents' driveways or have to patch those as well, because the driveways aren't that, they're not that wide, and some of the driveways might not even be asphalt as well.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Tony, anything else you want to add?
No.
No, excellent.
Chair,
Go ahead.
I move that we vote to approve the Assistant Town Administrator's recommendation to grant permission by Verizon New England, Inc. to place 1 2-inch conduit along Weston Woods Road to bring Fios to that local community.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's unanimous. I haven't forgot about item B, but we'll continue on with E. And Mr. Moore, thank you for your time. We'll move along
Thank
to
you.
item E, if you folks are still in agreement with me. And it's a discussion on the town's submittal for the 30-day review letter of the Penrose project at 456 Queen Anne Road. Tony?
So we received a letter from the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities on the 17th of September. If you recall back when the folks from Penrose were here to brief the board prior to submitting their application, we discussed the letter of support, which the board ended up sending forth, but it was also mentioned, once they did actually formally file their application for tax credits for the project, that we would be notified by the state for the 30-day letter. So it's another opportunity for the town to, put forth a letter to EOHLC, and so we need to do so prior to October 17th. Now, we went out and collected inputs from all the department heads, if you recall, which is what we used to put in our letter of support. The application that's in your board package is the one we've seen before, so there haven't been any changes or updates, and frankly, no real new information since then. So I'm looking for direction on how the board wishes to potentially craft a response, if you will, to the 30-day letter and any items they wish to have included in that. It is a town-sponsored, project, obviously, through our Affordable Housing Trust organization. So open up for the board's input on how they like me to craft that. We have 2 meetings, 10/6 and 10/14, to review the final draft to be able to get it off by 10/17, which is a Friday of Columbus Day week.
Anybody?
Well, we have a member from the Housing Trust here, if you'd like to speak, or do you have anything you want to say, Brendan, to this?
Do you have any questions, or?
I don't have any questions.
I don't have any questions.
So,
I didn't know if you had something you wanted to add.
Yeah, real quickly, if I could.
Sure.
Just to get a sense of, where we're at with the project in general, and...
Just state your name to the mic.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Brendan Lowney, Affordable Housing Trust.
Thank you.
So moving forward with the LIP process, this will be a local initiative program under 40B. And the trust has really teed this up for the town and Penrose to do the joint application for the comprehensive permit, and you go to ZBA. So I just want to let you know that it is really in your hands to move forward. I mean, this is something that we started in 2018 when we accepted the Mass General Law. to create the trust, and then with CP funds, we bought the Marceline property known as 456 Queen Anne Road, and we did an RFP that was given to Penrose. So this is really a culmination of a lot of entities, everything from CPC to what we've done in the trust and the select board getting things going. So obviously, we would like to, we'll be there for support, any questions you have, but at this point, it's really with the town, because you'll be signing that paperwork, or Mr. Howell will be doing that as the executive officer. I just want to give a little clarity to that, if you had any questions.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
I think I stated this a couple of months ago. When Penrose made the presentation here, there's a chance maybe they get to the 26 funding level, otherwise it's 27. I would like to write a supportive letter as much as possible so that we, the people who read it in the state could perhaps get us in line for 26, because I think we've made the case, we need that housing desperately. I love the plan. So that's basically it. I'm in favor of a very supportive letter, and the reason for that is to move us up to perhaps get the funding in 26.
Yeah, so the support will help the application be stronger. There's a pre-application process that they'll probably submit in November. If you're invited to the next round, it takes about 2 months, so let's call it February-ish, and then you'll get an answer. I got my notes here. You'll get an answer between May and June if you make the first round of funding. So just want to make sure the support is there, and just make sure they have a very strong application, because they're going to be up against other people, other developers.
I just have one question, and I remember, I think from a conversation that I think a subject you had brought up about an additional road. Is that part of this plan or no?
So
or of our approval to the state, does it go along
So I think
with?
that's going to fall, with ZBA, and when the fire department weighs in on access and everything else. But there is a paper road, Bassett Lane, that separates the lower and the upper fields.
Right.
But they are going to make, when they do the project, there is going to be an inlet or an access point to potentially get there in the future.
Okay.
And there might be a need for it, there may not be a need for it. I wouldn't know that.
Okay.
Yeah,
No, I
based on-
was just curious about
Yeah,
that.
and I did speak to Penrose today, and they are working on, they're doing a little bit of, they're there this week doing some environmental work based on our original Phase 1 study that we personally did, so they're just comparing some notes. And also, they're going to have their drawings together, so as soon as they get the approval, they're going to be submitting, to ZBA, based on the process I explained earlier, so.
Yeah, okay. Because I know some of the discussion was that there's an awful lot of traffic going on Queen Anne Road.
Yeah.
I know.
Like you said,
I know.
they'll work that out, yeah.
That's fine, that's fine. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
If I may, Mr. Chair,
You
just
may.
one more question. We're going to be talking about 310 Pleasant Lake Avenue tonight. I noticed in the financials, $800,000 base rent. Does that ring a bell to you on the
I'm
financials?
sorry, so 310 is up and over to the left? Yep,
Yeah,
okay, all right, so
which
you're
is
talking about
what
the other property, yep.
On your financials, I saw $800,000 base rent. Is that a payment made to the trust?
Correct, at closing, yes.
closing, one
So
time?
it's a 99-year lease. So if you take a look at your packet, page 84 is where everything starts for information when it comes to zoning, and, what doesn't comply and what they're going to be asking for with ZBA. And as you go further down, it will explain that in the land disposition agreement, that, it's 99 years, how many units they're going to be. They'll explain the 50% restriction, the 25% restriction overall in perpetuity. So those 5 pages from page 80 on are probably the most important. It gives really the most information. But yes, to answer your question, it's going to be a triple net terms, 99-year lease, and at closing, there's $800,000. But keep that in mind, they're also asking for $500,000 from the town. And they were going to ask for that through CPC funds, or it could be given by the trust, but that's also going to strengthen the application, because the state's going to look at that as a true friendly 40B. And it's been mentioned before, is there a friendly 40B, hostile 40B? Everything's a 40B, whether it's 40B or it's the LIP or the LAU. The LAU is the local action units, which is what 302 Bank Street and 5 Bells Neck applied for. That would be John Kerry's units in the fire station. They did a simple process because they were able to do it by rights. They're not using state subsidized funds, so it's a completely different program that they allow. So instead of this much paperwork, it's this much paperwork. So that would really be the difference, so.
So it's not, the trust gets 800,000, but that doesn't net out that. It's going to be 200,000 or 300,000, basically.
Well, it depends if CPC gives it, or we could probably do that for them as well. But either way, yes, so that they're looking for that.
Mr. Handler, really? Please, Terry.
Just a quick question, and this is probably off the mark, and I apologize, but do we have a policy in this town that if something's on the market, say for $700,000, we require that to be first-time buyer for at least 6 months to see if somebody can afford to buy it before an investor buys it? I have a unit on my complex, 1 bedroom, pristine condition, $375,000, and it was sold to an investor. I'm really kind of wild about that. It shouldn't have happened. That could have been a professional. It could have been a young couple starting out. I mean, we have to make sure that the town puts a lid on what realtors can just give away. We have a housing crisis. So I'm not the one to pick a number, but certainly 375 might have been really doable for somebody. And we let go. Well, I think the town should take it back by eminent domain, resell it, and let that investor go. And I really mean that.
Appreciate your comments. The town does not have such a policy in place, and nor do I know if the eminent domain argument would withstand the courts, but I appreciate your approach and your thought process there. You know, affordable housing is something we talk about often, and there is no magic wand, unfortunately. So back to the town administrator. You know, I think you got input from your department heads regarding the project. It probably gives you enough material to craft a response. Honestly, I'm not going to change my thought or my opinion, and I don't really have a problem with the project whatsoever, but I do have a problem with the egress, and I'd like to see that incorporated in the letter, because, you know, I've heard several times, well, this isn't the right time to bring that forward. Well, when is the right time? After it's built? So I'd like to see that incorporated personally. My colleagues may disagree, but I think, again, you have enough information from your various town departments to put something together that shows the town is supportive of this project.
Yeah, when we did the review, you know, the direction of them was, you know, we wanted to know if there were any red flags, right? Showstoppers, I called them, in terms of, and there weren't any. Most of the things that relate to traffic, to the egress, gets handled through the regulatory process because they discuss all those situations. So I think I get the tenor of the letter that the board is hoping to put in there, and I can include something along those lines, but at the same time, keep it a positive, supportive letter, because as Brendan said, you know, it is a friendly 40B town-sponsored thing, and we just need to make sure through the regulatory process we address things like ingress and egress and what makes the most sense, because they will look at that hard during the comprehensive plan, you know, process, or comprehensive permit process, so.
Excellent. Good. Everybody good?
Yep. Excellent.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Brendan.
And we'll jump up back to item B. Ms. Mitchell is with us. Would you like to take point on this? Take your time.
Good evening, Emily Mitchell, Town Clerk. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
So I did include some introductory information in your packet, but generally I'm here before you tonight to recommend that you adopt a policy about committee member email use. As many of you may remember, in 2023, the clerk's office, the administration office, and certainly in concert with you, the select board, undertook a fairly comprehensive review of town boards and committees. And one of our recommendations that came out from that review was a recommendation that all board and committee members be issued town email accounts. I'm very excited that at this point in 2025, our IT department has made that investment in our communication infrastructure. So we're now at the point where we're ready to roll out Town of Harwich organizational email accounts for all of our sitting board and committee members. And we'll be able to kind of carry that forward as new folks are appointed or elected. So before we started rolling out accounts, I wanted to recommend to you folks that you consider adopting a policy governing what that email use looks like. So I had drafted a policy that I included just as an initial jumping off point for you to consider. And sort of whittled down, the policy says that all board and committee members will be issued Town of Harwich email accounts, and that they should use that account and only that account for any correspondence related to their official duties as a board or committee member. So they would use that for official correspondence. They would not use that email account for personal correspondence, basically totally segregating the types of correspondence that individuals volunteering for our community engage in. 2 reasons, from my perspective in the clerk's office at least. You may have others. But probably chief among them is considering compliance with the state public records law. So any emails that committee members send or receive in their official capacity are considered public records. It's important for the town to sort of have access and ownership of those records. It's not uncommon for the town to receive records requests made pursuant to the public records law for those email correspondence records. Much easier to access when they are town accounts. Our IT department has the ability to perform a back-end search of our servers, either for recipients or senders or for keywords. We also have the ability to archive those accounts even if the member is no longer serving the town. Something we're seeing more frequently now is that members may end their service to the town, may move on to greener pastures, maybe have moved to Florida and are enjoying warmer weather, although today was lovely. But their records are still considered public records under the law. And so we might get a request for those records and then have to undertake some pretty significant efforts to contact them and see if they're still able to search their accounts, save the records, and then provide them to us. And that can be challenging if folks move, if they change their contact information. And we've even had a few instances where the individual had passed away, which obviously poses another significant barrier to that search process. And then the other kind of key factor that I think would benefit the town more broadly would be in facilitating more access communication-wise, both for members of the public and for town staff. So because right now members rely on their personal email addresses to do their committee-related correspondence, we as the town don't typically provide their contact information to the public. If someone says, you know, I have a question for the Treasure Chest Committee, we end up referring that to their staff, their associated staff. So that might go to the DPW director rather than to the chair of the Treasure Chest Committee, because we want to respect folks' privacy with their personal accounts. If we were to have town-issued email accounts, that's something we could publicize and distribute without compromising anyone's privacy and help facilitate that public access. So those are sort of the 2 drivers in my mind, and where we're at the point of being able to roll those out, I thought it was a good time to bring it before you.
Excellent, thank you. Tony, anything you want to chime in on?
No, it's a great idea, long overdue, for all the reasons, I mean, spot on. I think the only thing we might want to just include, if somebody comes off a committee, how do we, know that to, basically deactivate their account? But I'm sure we can work that in to make sure there is a notification if someone leaves a committee to let the town know so they can deactivate, just like we do with employees. But, yeah, no, I mean, all the uses that Emily said are really spot on.
Okay, thank you. Anita, anything?
No, nothing.
Mark?
I think it's a great idea. When you do your open meeting law training, I would include something, including myself among that, who aren't that good with the computer, how to adjust to using your own personal computer with the emails. It's probably very simple, but for a lot of people, it'll be a transition, but I think it's great. It helps people to stay out of trouble. I wouldn't want anybody to run into a situation where they mixed town and personal business, and if it was a serious matter, they had to get into your personal email, which I'm sure no one wants. So I think it's a great idea. It keeps us safe, everybody safe, And I would just say, when we have the open meeting law training, maybe talk about that, how to work the mechanics of it, because again, a lot of people are not great with the computer, just to show them how to do it, so, thanks.
Absolutely.
All I have to say is a formal and public congratulations on your recent certified Mass Municipal Clerk. So you weren't here last week, so we couldn't embarrass you. I'm going to do it right now.
So you chose while I was at the table. No, thank you. I appreciate it.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Great achievement, and I'm looking forward to rolling out the emails. I think, like Tony said, it's long overdue. You know, sending emails to other, unsecured public emails, it's just not, it's not okay to do it. So I'm looking forward to it. Thanks.
Yeah, again, I think it's long overdue. I assume, along Mark's discussion of some type of education, I assume there'll be like a one-pager that's provided to folks once they issued their town email?
Yes, so I've been discussing with Sarah Eaton, the town's IT director, kind of what that process will look like. So she's really done yeoman's work, I should have mentioned that at the outset, for the actual process of creating the account. So my extensive thanks to Sarah for her efforts there. And we've started talking about maybe we'll roll these out in stages once the board adopts a policy, and make sure that folks are trained on how do you put the Outlook application on your phone or on your personal computer, how do you access that. So as folks, either current members, we roll it out, or as new members come on board, we'll do that integration and training.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
Sounds good. So my question to the board, go ahead.
No.
Nothing? My question to the board is, I suppose we could technically, since we have the written recommended draft in our packet this evening, we consider it the first reading unless you folks want to bring it back as a first reading next week.
I'm happy to consider it the first reading. First reading at tonight's meeting.
Any objection to that? Any thoughts?
No, I'm good.
That's fine.
All right. Appreciate your efforts with this, and thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, before she goes?
Yes.
Are we looking to, now this board would look to make any changes?
Yep, for the-
Submit them to?
Well, at this point, we'll submit it through the town administrator's
Submit it to
office.
administration.
Who can then forward along.
Thank you.
Yeah, because it will become the board's policy.
Correct.
So,
Okay.
So for
Thank you.
second reading, you want it on for the 6th? Or the one after?
whenever you and the chair can
Well,
place
it
it.
depends if I'm getting, if there's going to be any changes. Do you want me to plan on putting it on for the 6th for a vote?
The next meeting? Yeah, I think everybody can submit their edits to the town administrator's office, Wednesday morning.
Sure. Okay.
That work? Doesn't work for you.
Yeah, I'm okay.
All right, thank you
Thank you.
again.
Thank you, Emily.
Now we'll move on to item F, discussion regarding the sale of 310 Pleasant Lake Ave property. Skiavi. No? Not you?
Uh-oh, because there's nothing.
Well, obviously, we know the property's for sale.
Right. Okay, I didn't know if between, what you and Don had planned for this item tonight, but.
No, I think it was to get the board's, thoughts on it. Obviously, we know the property's for sale. We have, I think, some general idea of what the potential asking price was, and I think it was $10 to $15 million, I believe. It's almost 30 acres of property. It's a former salvage yard or junkyard that operated for many years, was capped at some point. Just from I won't say a rumor mill standpoint, but apparently there's a number of parties that may be interested in it. I guess it's really a discussion about, is there any point of entry, I guess, in terms of influencing what may or may not, happen there. I'm not sure we are in a position to do that necessarily. I think it's one of the things in how our government operates, where so many of the things we have to do happen at town meeting, that, when an opportunity or something comes before us, it's sometimes difficult for us to react quickly. My understanding is, I think final proposals for interested buyers is like mid-October, maybe the 17th of October, which might as well be tomorrow in our world. So I just don't know if there's any direction from the board. I don't think Mr. Howell had anything specific other than to hear, comments from the board members about any thoughts on whether we make any inquiries or what have you.
Any initial thoughts?
No, I don't, no. I would like to know what we would plan to do with it before we began to entertain spending that kind of money. And there's, more traffic studies and more things to do, and as Tony said, it's a long time. I think this property's gonna be long gone before we get our pens to paper. So, I agree. No comment.
Yep. Anita?
No.
It was a great idea, though, Pete.
Yeah, no, great idea, great idea. So, no, and my question is, because, I'm not gonna let it just die. What the hell, I got plenty of time tonight.
Yeah, you do.
So, my question is, we clearly understand that there's other parties that are potentially interested in this property. Is it even a legal process for us to reach out to other entities in a collaborative effort to inquire about that property?
Yes,
it is
probably
legal.
through me.
Agreed, clearly not us.
It would be the easiest
Yes.
way to do it. I've done these before.
Yeah.
In a couple of instances before, similar type situations that we were actually successful in. So if the board wants me to, reach out to anybody just to gather information or whatever, I can certainly bring it, back to the board. I think that's the easiest, most straightforward way. Just because of the constraints the board has to, work on, I can certainly, make some inquiries and I know what questions to ask.
And so with the board's indulgence, I'd like to at least take that next step. Because if the town administrator could potentially work with some private entities to formulate a collaborative effort in at least exploring the purchase of this property, then it may be worth some town involvement. Realizing that it is, a monumental leap for us to put our hands on, cash capital. So, but in partnership, it may be something that is achievable. So it may lead to nowhere. It may be a dead end in the end, but it may be worth some time on the town administrator's behalf to at least see what potential is out there.
I'm happy to have Tony do the work.
I got plenty of time.
Plenty of time, nothing but time.
Nothing but time.
All right, so I think, a general guidance on that is enough. I don't think we need to take any vote.
Yeah,
but
I'll
if
see
you can
what I
do
can
some
find.
research, and that'd be wonderful. Appreciate that. All right, old business item A, vote on the final issuance of the fiscal year 2027 budget
Mr. Chair?
message. Mr. Handler.
I move that we approve the fiscal year 2027 budget message as presented in the packet.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
No.
Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's unanimous. Item B, discussion and review of updated 2026 budget and annual town meeting timeline. Mr. Schiavi.
So I know we've looked at something similar a while back. This is something I do out of normal course of business. As everybody knows, there's a ton of moving parts that get us from, essentially the August timeframe when we start considering the budget and capital plan for the upcoming town meeting held in May. And so for me, it's best to see all the different milestones, things that need to happen, plan it all out. That provides both myself and eventually the board, finance committee, the capital committee, an idea of what I would argue is a smooth on-ramp to town meeting in May, so that by the time we get there, it's not a fire drill, it's not a rush at the end, and kind of puts all the building blocks in place. And so whether the board wants to follow along or not, this is always on my desk that I use, but I wanted to get the board's thoughts about some of the milestones that will lead us to presenting the budget and the capital plan to the board, and some of the milestones that will lead us up to that. For instance, we'll be taking the budget message the board just approved, and over the next couple of weeks, we're going to turn that into very specific budget instructions for all the department heads to then begin to develop their internal budgets. The capital plan inputs have already been made. I'm working on putting the capital plan draft together that will then get presented to the capital committee so they can start their review, and you can see the timelines and the amount of time everybody has to work on these things. But I've also included the free cash certification and when we expect to see that, because that is certainly a very important thing for us to get as a main, funding source for capital. We'll be presenting the prior year financial review to the board in early November, where we'll go into detail about what our performance was in FY '25, because it kind of informs us about things we should be looking for in '26, and then eventually as we build into '27. That leads into doing the tax classification here, where we're going to set the tax rate. So all those things build up. So my plan right now would be to present to the board the FY '27 budget and the '27 to '31 capital plan on the 5th of January. And that would allow the board then several meetings after that to have the departmental reviews, bring folks in, go through the budget, ask questions, potentially make changes, and then hand that to the Finance Committee on the 2nd of February, which I think is arguably well before they're used to getting it, as it should be. So I just wanted to put this in there and I'll be putting this up on the website because I want the community to understand how we're getting from point A to point B. They can follow along. You'll see on the far right, I've already have two things that say complete. We'll add in the budget message approval tonight as complete, and so we'll track all the way down until we get to the Maytown meeting on May 4th. So I don't know if there's any thoughts about how this looks or its usefulness. Certainly it's very useful for me, and hopefully it's useful for the board. I think we pretty much, picked all the big rocks and stuck them on here, so.
All right, thank you. The board? Mark?
No, I'm fine with the spreadsheet. We've got a lot of work ahead of us.
Thank you for this, Tony. This is excellent. I think this gives us a real good beacon to stay on track with. Will this be something that we get weekly so that we can, or every 2 meetings so we can see how
You'll
this
think
right
things go from
column-
in work to complete.
Yeah,
Yep,
and that's great because this will be my 3rd budget cycle, and I have to say, the amount of work that gets done without any of the board members knowing it's fascinating, the amount of work that you all in administration accomplish without us even knowing it. And so to that end, it only takes 1 or 2 things to not hit the milestones of the deadlines to kind of throw things a little off. And it would be good to see in real time how things are progressing from the way you see it. So this is great.
Yeah, and you'll see in the no later than, some of these things are driven by the charter. For instance, if you look at line 27, as it relates to presenting the operating budget and the capital plan, the charter says on or before the 2nd Tuesday in February, and I'm planning on doing it on the 5th of January, right? So our plan is, those dates are in there, but those aren't the dates you want to get in. We're moving all that up, again, to make sure that all the boards and committees that need to review all of this work have ample time to do their part of the process, so that when we get to town meeting, it's a united front. The board has made its recommendation, the Finance Committee has weighed in on their recommendations, and again, we prevent the fire drill from happening at the end game. Because when that happens, that's when mistakes happen, if we're rushing at the end to try to get all this stuff done. So that's kind of how it's built. And again, I'm going to put this up on the website. We're going to figure out how to have a town meeting page that'll have a lot of the documents in it, and we'll add to it so the community can go to it and see how we're tracking and the things that have been done and the backup information that goes with it.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you for the work.
Okay. The only thing I wanted to say is thank you, because I printed it out of the computer.
Oh, that is a little small, yeah.
And it was a little small, but I just wanted you to know that I printed it out because I wanted to have it just for my own. And then when I got here tonight, I smiled because it was a lot bigger than what I printed out. So thank you.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you, Jen.
My question was going to be, are you okay with an electronic copy as opposed to this thing being printed
Absolutely.
fortnightly?
As long as I can find it in under like 6.5 minutes.
Perfect.
Yep, 100%.
And I'll just make the comment since he's not here, but Mr. Howell would say that the dates outlined as far as due dates are the final date. So to your point, there's no harm. In fact, there's only a benefit to getting them out
Being
sooner.
early.
So appreciate this document. I think it's very beneficial. I like the granular aspect to it, so thank you for your time on that. Discussion on Assistant Town Administrator recruitment process.
So I think last week we, had another discussion about the vacancy in the Assistant Town Administrator's office, and for me to get some guidance about how the board, wishes to proceed. I won't go over the two options of waiting or not waiting and the benefits of that. I think I covered that last time. So the board asked me to kind of take a look, because at this point, with the position being vacant, is really an opportunity, right, to take a look at the current job description, but at the same time also discuss what is it that we want to see in terms of a structure in the corner office, I'll call it. I think one of the things that stuck out for me in the current job description, which is in your packet, not the least of which about needing to take HR out and that kind of thing, but right up at the front, it talks about the position as a developmental position, right? So for somebody like myself, when I first read something like that, tells me where people think the job resides, right? And I think in a lot of respects, and talking with Megan and stuff, I think when you see something like that, it often, for an administrator, they look at the job more as a staff position, to sort of just take stuff from the administrator to go, here, work on this, work on that, and almost a staff type, a position versus, I think, what we talked about, and Mr. Chair, I think you mentioned to me about, bringing it up to more of an executive level position. And so I got a number of job descriptions from different towns to take a look at how they structure their assistant town administrator, assistant town manager, probably 6 or 7. I didn't include all those, because when you read through them, it makes your eyes roll around trying to really sort out what. But for me, and having, almost 35 years in executive positions, how I would view it is sort of what I put in the draft job description that I created, to see if that was the viewpoint of the board moving forward on how it wishes to view the assistant town administrator as an executive senior management level position, and what that might look like, because it really needs to be codified in the job description. And so 2 things are important with the job being vacant to do this now is the person that you would bring in and hire for this, you're bringing somebody in that you already know what you want them to meet, which is different than if somebody's in the position and you try to change it. It gets to be a little bit more difficult trying to, do the job description, and the person may not fit those requirements potentially. So we have that opportunity. I think the other piece is with the new town administrator coming in, whether I'm going to recruit this person or not, they know how their second, in charge person is being viewed by the board and the town, and the type of person that they'll be coming in and working alongside to do a lot of important stuff. So I kind of drafted that up. Now, I also put into the packet, because we always take a look at, or asked to take a look at the comps, if you will, and how other towns. So I've got a handful of comps that HR put together for me, and you can kind of see where we're at compared to the other towns that have assistant town administrators and assistant town managers. So in some regards, at least on the top end, we're not in the park. Again, that's a financial, budgetary discussion, type of thing, but I think this is the time to think about it and what the town of Harwich wants to do and what the board wants to do. So I'm open to answer questions or thoughts or direction on how we move next, if we're gonna move next.
Sure. Anita?
No, to tell you the truth, that's exactly where I went to, is I went to the compensation plan, and we're the lowest. And, maybe look at other towns our size, see if we can come up comparable.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, other than Barnstable, I mean, these are all
No.
the towns right around us, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the first thing that I looked at.
Mhm.
In order to get somebody that I think would be maybe worthwhile, we need to be able to pay them well. in order for them to be here. So, but that's just my thought.
Thank you. Mark?
Sure. Thanks, Tony. I'd probably, if you wouldn't mind, take another shot at reading it again in detail. I do think it's something to consider that hiring the town administrator first, because they're gonna work as a team. You wanna have a chemistry there. So in terms of sequencing, I'd prefer to get the town administrator on and then the assistant town administrator. So that's a concern. I'd like the duties. You seem to kind of expanded it. I saw human resources in there. We have a human resources director. And sometimes I question, in Chatham, which is a smaller town, they have one town manager, and that's it. So it's just a question I have is, here's an adjacent town that gets by without an assistant town administrator.
That's a one-off for sure. I don't know
Yeah,
of any
it's-
other towns the size that do that, but.
Do that, yeah.
But, I'd like to take another look at it, but I do think, I think in terms of sequencing, I think the assistant town administrator should follow the town administrator, because they're gonna need to work together as a team, so, thank you.
Mr. Handler?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and Tony, thank you for putting this together. For me, I think I'm going to want to take a little bit more time to read through this and look for things that may be duplicative in the town administrator versus the ATA, and how the ATA is going to support the town administrator, but there's no blending of responsibilities, or maybe there should be blending of responsibilities. I don't know. I'm just familiar with what I've seen over the last 2.5 years. I've made a lot of notes over the last 2.5 years of what I would like to either see. Not that it wasn't done right, or not that it was done wrong, but just maybe more efficient or a different way of looking at it. And maybe clearly how to define how the ATA would interface with the select board while the town administrator is in place and not absent. That tended to be a challenge, I think. Not for me, but for some others, going to the ATA instead of the TA. How is that relationship supposed to work between the ATA and the select board? So those are just some of the things I'm going to want to kick around a little bit more.
All right. Personally, the draft, this job description, I think we're on the right path. I like it. Happy to, give it some additional review, but I think that's, a better place for us to start. But again, compare it to some other documents as far as to see what could be either added or subtracted or just enhanced. The only question I had, Tony, and it's kind of specific, but when it gets to procurement, your draft talks about procurement oversight and serves as the town purchasing agent ensuring compliance with MGL Chapter 30B 149, administers all procurement contracts and supports department-level purchasing. To me, and tell me if I'm wrong, but to me, it sounds like we're sticking with a centralized procurement process with that description.
No, it's decentralized, right? But you still have to have someone that does the final check and balances, right? So my experience in both the communities I worked in, that it was decentralized. The chief procurement responsibilities stayed in the town administrator. Now, in one town, I was the chief procurement officer. In another town, I actually delegated that, which there's a process through the state, and assigned that to my assistant to be the take on the chief procurement officer responsibility, right? So that's that division of duties. I think, when you're the town administrator or town manager, it's looking at the competency of the person you're working with. You'll notice I didn't identify specific departments that the ATA is going to be responsible for, right? Because you want to take advantage of each other's, assets and attributes. And so you may change that from time to time. And frankly, in a lot of places, it's written in there, but it's not executed that way. Even talking with Megan, there was a whole laundry list of departments that she was, according to the job description, but didn't actually execute those. So that's why you don't see that in there. But my thought is, and I think in the feedback that we got, we really need to decentralize the beginning parts of the procurement, right? Should be done at the department level and then funnel through the chief procurement officer for final check and balances to make sure that all the i's are dotted and the t's are crossed. So certainly I can clear that up to make that clearer, but now what that requires are for the bigger departments that need to be able to do that, is you have to have people who are going to, willing and able to get certified as, Mass Certified Public Procurement Officials, right? The MCPPO, designation, because if they're going to be doing that amount of work, they need to have that designation as well. So now some of the smaller departments, obviously, their stuff would probably go through our office. Now, other options is to actually establish a procurement office, where you could take that out and actually have a procurement office that you actually have an employee that's their main function in doing that work, so it doesn't bog down the town administrator's office with some of that, 'cause as you can see from all the work that Megan was doing, it's a lot and takes a lot of time, and things can get stacked up pretty quickly, so.
Okay, thank you for that. So, sounds like we'll ask Mr. Howell to put this back on the agenda for additional comments and feedback. Obviously, feel free to send anything into the town administrator's office ahead of time. And only to touch upon the recruitment process, I'll be honest, I'm torn. Part of me absolutely agrees with you that, the new town administrator should be the one to select the assistant. However, then I think of the timing of it all, and, if I had a specific date when the new town administrator would start, that would really help make the decision. But I'd hate to see the ATA's office sit empty for potentially, 6 more months, when we could be recruiting, an individual to take that role. So I think more discussion on that as a collective body to figure out, if we want to start moving the needle ahead of time, or sit pat until the new town administrator comes on board. I would say at a minimum, if the board elects to wait, we should have the job description and the posting ready to go prior to the new town administrator beginning, so that the process can, at least, the wheels can be spinning.
Absolutely.
But
I
again,
think the other piece for discussion, obviously, if you look at the comps, if there's going to be discussion around that, I can tell you, looking at those numbers does not fit in the PBL, right? So.
Right.
Again, in one community, everyone was, I'll say, employees at will. I mean, there weren't, no department heads were unionized and whatever, but there was no contract for the assistant. And when I was in Bourne, the assistant town administrator was on executive contract, just like the town administrator was, finance director was, DPW director. There were several that were on contract and not in a PBL or even in a union, so.
Right, okay. So again, that might be a recommendation we look for you to bring forward, and how we go ahead and contemplate that decision as
But
well.
I agree with you, at least having it teed up, even if we don't start the recruitment, when the new person gets here, the job description set, the compensation stuff has been talked about, and how that would be executed, so they can hit the ground running.
Right.
So.
Excellent.
Okay.
Anything else on that? Hearing none. Further discussion on potential changes to the Monomoy Regional School District Agreement. I don't have any further discussion on it at this time. Mark?
If I may, Mr. Chair.
You may.
Last week I called the town of Essex, and they had a ready-made spreadsheet for the Manchester Essex, where they bring in property valuation and student enrollment. And Scott Nora from the Finance Committee was kind enough to translate that spreadsheet into a Monomoy Chatham spreadsheet. However, I spoke to Charles Griska. There are so many variables in this school system, with the elementary schools being separate. And I thank Scott for all the work he did. We thought about coming up with a narrative and asking the school administration to play out 3 or 4 scenarios. And I spoke to the chairman today, and a suggestion, I didn't have a chance to talk to the town administrator yet, is Jeff and I would meet with the town administrator and Eric Kernchef, finish answering the why, which Jeff has made a good start on, but also to show the various options that are out there. And they are Manchester Essex and a variation of that, and Dennis Yarmouth. Come up with 3 or 4 options, run it by the town administrator, Eric Kernchef, and then submit it to the schools, because they're the experts. I was playing with it, and there's so many variables that we don't want to get ahead of us with the wrong figures. and then get their input, of course, inform the board what we're doing. And then, if possible, with the town administrator almost doing what he has with the schedule here, putting a schedule together so we can complete these tasks, so we're not waiting till budget season. So that's the crux of it. I'm hoping Jeff and I can meet with Tony, you and Eric, finish the why of why we need to have the agreement done, and then get 2 or 3 or 4 scenarios based on other regional agreements that we can present to this board to discuss, and then get it off to the school committee for them to discuss, and then hopefully shortly after that, have a joint meeting with the Chatham and Select Board. So, sorry I didn't speak to you about that, Tony, but I'm hoping after the meeting, Jeff and I can talk to you about setting up something like that, and this is with the concurrence of the chair as well.
The school board.
No, the chair of our board, meeting with Tony, and we'll put something together that we can present to the school board.
Understood.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, please.
Have we received the letter yet from the Monomoy School Committee?
No.
That's, I can speak to that. I spoke with Meredith Henderson today, and she was hopeful that she would have it to us by today, end of business day today. We didn't get it today. I'm not concerned about it. If it gets sent to me, I'll certainly forward it to administration, and you can send it to the whole board. But I expect that tomorrow to button that up. Also, I think it would be good for this board to watch the most recent school committee meeting where Michael McMillan, right at about the 35-minute mark, speaks to some of the future budget potential additions that may occur. So I think we should keep abreast of that to the best of our ability. So, and I just would like to say thank you to Select Board Member Howell, the real chair. No offense, Pete, for getting this for getting this back on the agenda as promised. I certainly do appreciate it, and that's all I have.
My only question, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I'd love to be wrong. If it's 2 of you meeting with town administrator, you have to post the meeting. No?
I mean, you're not establishing a subcommittee.
It's not a quorum,
right?
and we don't establish a subcommittee, so I think we're...
Yeah, I mean,
we're okay.
I'll let the chair, the real chair.
Let the real chair determine.
That's it.
I'll ask the question, but I'm pretty sure that,
Yeah.
that's, unless you're establishing a subcommittee,
Okay.
but we'll double check just to make sure.
Sounds good to me.
And don't join us.
No, trust me, I won't. Trust me,
In
I
an
won't.
undisclosed location
Yeah.
at the Seal Pub.
Perfect. At an undisclosed time. All right, anything further on that? Nope, perfect. Contracts.
So we have one contract in the packet as a result of the May 25 town meeting, CPC allocated funds to the friends or relatives with autism-related disabilities called Forward. That's in your package. It should be.
Entertain a motion?
I make a motion that we vote to approve the 2025 Community Preservation Act agreement with Forward, friends or relatives with autism and related disabilities, for the Forward at the Rock Phase 2 project in the amount of $120,000.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And I'm going to abstain from that, so 301. Town Administrator's report.
So very briefly, as you know, the finance director position is out for advertising. We have 5 applications so far, so in accordance with the timeline that I'd given the board, we're starting just to do a preliminary review on those, but that is still open for another couple of weeks. It's the 14th of October is the closeout date for that, so we're getting responses.
It's encouraging.
Yes. And then lastly, this week on 10/2, we're having our first meeting with Dennis officials related to their wastewater treatment facility and seeing what they have to say about that, and if there's any, potential interest in the town of Harwich, doing a similar type of an agreement with Chatham. So it's really more of an information collection type of a meeting.
And who are the participants?
It's going to be myself, Jason Trepanier from Water, and we have the DPW director from Dennis and their wastewater, I believe wastewater superintendent. So it's
Excellent, thank you.
4 or 5 people.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
Select Board member report. Mr. Howell. Mr. Howell, Mr. Handler. Mr. Handler, the other H.
I have nothing, Mr. Chair.
The real chair.
Touche, I guess.
Yeah, right.
That hits the paper, if that hits the paper.
I'll just have it on loop. Mark?
I want to thank the town administrator for mentioning the hearing dates for the zoning board of appeals, and just put out a call in general for town committees. There are some particular town committees that need some help desperately, so, you know, if you're interested in volunteering for the town, please contact the interview committee, and there's a form to fill out. There are some committees that are in dire need of members. Thank you.
Nita?
I don't really have anything, except for I want to commend Emily for getting that award. I know firsthand what that test is all about, so congratulations on that.
Excellent. Entertain a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
And a second. All those in favor?
Aye.